and it was on Sarah Palin's notion of death panels, and basically in the article I said Sarah Palin is right and death panels are real and they're a part of ObamaCare, and I was so proud of having said in print in the Boston Globe, Sarah Palin is right. And the comment section exploded with people saying, you know, this idiot is writing in our Globe saying that very sentence, Sarah Palin is right. This is just unthinkable. So at that point, when I announced my candidacy actually on March 21st, 2010, which was the day that Congress passed the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, sort of an ignominious day. And since then, like all of us, I've been thinking about what this atrocity is like. So, what it's all about, the ObamaCare thing, what's wrong with it. So I have a conclusion. Most of the time I'll give this presentation, I have a projector and a PowerPoint slide and a laser pointer.
Another thing to plan for the future.
What's that?
Another thing to have in the future too.
Is a PowerPoint. Well, or I have a piece of chalk. In fact, I've been talking to people, groups of people, for 30 or 35 years because I'm a teacher. But for the most part, since I'm a physicist, I'm kind of unused to looking at people and talking to them at the same time. Most of the time I talk to people, I'm like this. So this is a PowerPoint presentation, and once in a while, just for emphasis, I'll show you what the slide looks like, because this is a small group. So, but the conclusion is this, and let me just get to the conclusion ahead of everything else. The problems with ObamaCare are, in my opinion, is first of all that it establishes healthcare as a right. And when it establishes healthcare as a right, that implies the idea of what constitutes essential benefits. That has to be defined, and that's what the whole bureaucracy of ObamaCare as it stands now is going about hammering out. What are the essential benefits of the right of healthcare? It undertakes the definition of so-called best practices for treating all conditions, and I think that in principle that's theoretically an impossible thing to do. I'll say something about it. It eliminates incentives up and down the economy, not only for people to make more money to be able to buy better health care for their children, but for doctors to perform. Just everywhere the incentives are eliminated, and it creates perverse incentives for the economy to do kind of weird things, as anybody who knows anything about the free market understands. It makes rationing inevitable, and I think that if it's implemented, what it's going to lead to are secondary markets. There's going to be a whole kind of spin-off of secondary markets for people to get medical attention of the kind that they cannot get under ObamaCare. And this is the sort of thing that actually goes on in other countries right now. And the thing that I talked about most in my campaign when I ran was, I think this is really the crucial issue. This is the thing that really gets to me, is that ObamaCare, if it's implemented, will undermine life-saving research. I often tell people that I want my children to live to be 120 years old, and I think there's nothing particularly ridiculous about that. The types of I live in the science community. The kinds of breakthroughs that are coming are fast and furious. I work in electronics and computation, but there's a border with biology and chemistry, and the sorts of advances that are being made now are astonishing. And the free market is critical for the continuation of those kinds of advances. I'll say a little bit about that. Anyway, so I forgot to thank Edward for allowing me to come here. This is unbelievable. Not least of it is it gave me a chance to wear my new tie. I don't wear this to Harvard very often. In fact, I've never worn it there at all. But,
you can spill lots of stuff on that.
No, anyway, so the story begins, as many stories do, with a girl. It happens to be this girl. Everybody knows this girl. All right, so